to the organizers of this colloquium, uh, Professor Prabhagar, Professor Danino, Sharda, Dr. Sharda, and all other members of the team. What I'm going to present today is about the economic production, cultural, and food consumption practices of the Harappans, views from Shikarpur, Gujarat. This is an attempt to explore the possibilities of how one can actually try to infer some of the intangible aspects of culture by looking at the context in which some of the cooking and serving vessels are actually found um, uh, at a site or in a site. Before I start, let me express my thanks to uh, several researchers, those who actually participated in the excavation, also helped our research on Harappa culture all these years. Foremost, the MS University of Baroda, Archaeological Survey of India, and the Gujarat's State Archaeology Department, those who have actually kindly permitted us to carry out excavations and financially supported the excavation. There are many other institutions, those who were part and parcel of our research many years, those who are still kind of supporting our research activities. Culture and food. Food consumption practices are culturally ordained. Essentially, does not need any explanation. What we eat is essentially a tradition which we actually follow. Some of the existing practices, the way we actually consume food, with whom we consume, and which way we actually take the food, etc., are actually kind of probably have deep-rooted tradition. We are essentially following a deep-rooted tradition. Whether we can actually kind of see the roots of this by looking at the consuming vessels as well as cooking vessels. In this presentation, I will actually be focusing only on the serving vessel, that is the bowls. A very insignificant sort of bowls which are actually found from the urban Harappan context, classical Harappan context. There are two important kinds of vessels which are associated with the food production or food cooking, which are actually found in the classical Harappan context. The one which you actually see, see here, this is the well-known cooking pot, which has been actually kind of discussed and written about quite often. And one of the easily identifiable artifact of the classical Harappan ceramic rapatia. Whereas the one which you see on the right side, these are quite insignificant bowls. Many a times we don't actually kind of record them properly because they are not as attractive as the other vessels which we actually come across in the, the Harappan pottery is actually quite, the shape is very good, it has been actually painted well, and that is what is actually missing from these vessels. That's the reason it has not actually, probably did not get the kind of attention it should have actually got. I will actually kind of discuss the discovery or the identification of these vessels from our excavation at Shikarpur, where Shikarpur is actually located on the southeastern part of Kutch. Just across the Gulf of Kutch is Bagasara. Further northeast is Kanmer. This was excavated by our department for almost 10 seasons. Thank you. 10 seasons. And this port was actually kind of came into our notice because in our excavation, we actually came across a large number of these vessels, and we were just wondering what actually is happening. Why are these fragments are found in such large numbers? And we actually started kind of keeping them separately and started counting them and trying to understand the sudden appearance. It is not found in all the trenches. In some of the trenches, it suddenly started appearing in large numbers, which was quite curious. That is what that's the context in which we actually studying them. What I'm referring to is a small conical shaped bowl, which you can actually see it in here. These are of medium size. You can call it cups, or sometimes you can actually call it dishes or bowls, depending upon probably the size or the features. The important factor of this is that indifferently baked. Harappan pottery is generally very well baked and very well made. That is actually missing. Even the surface finish is indifferent in the sense that they are they are not slipped. If at all there is a slip, it is a thin wash of slip. Um, um, uh, the impression which we got is that it is actually not meant for a long period use. It is probably meant for a kind of very short period, short time use. Use and throw kind of a vessel. That probably is one of the reasons. As you can see, the shapes which you see here, this is the shapes, and you can see it's quite similar to the kind of shapes which we actually come across even today. It's this kind of serving vessels. These are all the disposable dishes you actually come across today, and these are the kulhards, very similar to what we see in the Harappan, today, and in the Harappan context. These are they actually appear in different sizes and also in different forms. These pictures actually show the primary features, morphological features of this vessel. As I said, they are indifferently big. No particular attention has been actually given to get the thinness of what you come across in the general Harappan pottery. They do actually appear in different sizes. It has got an average, I suppose this thing actually marks the bottom part of the table. Can you remove this? Yeah, just click more. Oh, good. Thank you. So, so what you can actually see is that that's a the generally the diameter actually varies from 27 centimeter to 14 centimeter, but most of them actually fall in this 20 centimeter diameter. But you can actually see they fall into two categories: large size and the smaller size. That's what actually kind of we separated on the basis of simple morphological features. Now, what's the context in which they are actually found? This is found in large numbers in Surkota. Then we actually started looking at are they reported from other classical Harappan sites or not? And then we started looking at the published reports. They are actually reported from Mohenjo-daro, right from the Mackay's time, and also from Lothal. And also Surkotada. The rest of the reports are not actually published, therefore one does not really know that they are there or not. My feeling is that it may not have been actually reported because it was so insignificant. If at all it is reported, it will not actually get the relative abundance of this pottery. Must have been, if you actually come across the full pottery, it must have been kind of illustrated. That is probably what has happened even at Lothal and at Surkotra. So they are actually found in all the classical Harappan sites. They are not found in the regional sites like Surat Harappan site. You do not come across similar kind of bowls. They have different kinds of bowls. Um, so I, I will now discuss about the context in which those bowls are found at Shikarpur, and what its context can actually tell us about the consumption practices of the Harappans, food consumption practices of the Harappan. This is Shikarpur, which is a small size Harappan settlement. It's a fortified settlement. The fortified area is almost 1 hectare. It has got an inner fortification as well as an outer fortification. If you put all the occupied area, it will be around I think 4.5 hectares. So these vessels, in fact, the central part of this is the aerial photograph of the site. You can actually see this is the fortification on the northern side, and that is the part of the fortification on the southern side. So that is the inner fortification. So you do actually come across, the trenches surround. There is an open space or an open court at the center of this site, and most of the trenches surrounding this central open part has actually yielded high number of these cups or the serving vessels. Uh, and you can see this 26 is, okay. Yeah. Okay. That this part is actually an open code. There is an open space which probably must have been used as a kind of what we actually imagine is that this could have been the site would have been actually acted as a marketplace for accessing Harappan artifacts. So these kind of vessels are actually found in the structures which are surrounding this marketplace. As you move out and to look at the distribution of these vessels outside this area, they are much less in number. I'll show you the distribution a little later. This is the area where you actually come across this vessel in high abundance. As you move away, their number actually kind of decreases. That's the distribution features when you look at the inner within the fortified area and outside the fortified area. In one trench, you have something around 264 sheds of that, and there is high in number as you can see. And when we move out, they are just 19 and 14, which essentially means that there is a high concentration within that around the central square, and they are much less outside. So, what is the importance of the central part? As I said, this appears to be a marketplace. Uh, Yes, okay. So you can actually see the distribution throughout the time, starting from the earliest level of occupation to the later one. It is actually kind of distributed in abundance in the middle. That is actually peak of the urban phase here. And then in the last phase, it actually kind of decreases. Um, that is what it actually shows. You have the serving bowls, which are actually abundant here. There's a central square, and they are, yeah. This is the area where we have actually deep trenches from where we actually collected those bowls, which is just 19 and 20, 14 and 19, if I remember correctly. Whereas here, it just one trench actually had 264. That is quite a uneven distribution of those bowls. Now, surrounding this open space, you do come across all these different artifacts, which actually kind of helps us to understand this would have been a place where one could actually access, neighboring sites could actually access the Harappan craft items, which includes both high-end products like long carnelian beads or the low technology investment artifacts like the terracotta beads, bangles, including shell bangles. There are also some pieces of stoneware which are actually found from within that area, suggesting that this certainly was a site which was actually catering the needs of people of different economic strata. The only, but what happens is that you do not actually come across any interesting or any convincing evidence about mass production of none of these craft items. What we actually come across household production of these items, but the only evidence of a larger production of a craft item or a artifact here is the rohri chert plates, which are actually found in large numbers in here. You can actually see these are the kind of, which includes the, some of the cores as well as the debitage of the stone napping and literally thousands of chert plate. That is the only artifact which you come across in large abundance here. Probably some amount of real working stone napping of the chert blades were actually happening. Rest of the things were all primarily household production, which also includes a lot of terracotta objects and toys, especially, are actually found in and around that open space. This is primarily because if in a marketplace, you also need to actually take care of the demands of the children. So those who are actually kind of coming to get the products, they will also trying to carry something back for the children, like the terracotta toys, etc. So there is an abundance of terracotta toys in and around that open space. Once again, suggesting that that open space must have been actually acted in some of the commercial activities of the people, those who lived at Shikarpur. Uh, in the in the eastern side of the open space, you come across a series of structures. That's what the structures are, wherein you actually come across a row of houses or row of rooms, which actually shows ovens and open hearths, etc., including some household craft production. And it is in here you come across many of these bowls in abundance, in and around, not exactly the same place. We have some interesting evidence, actual evidence of this. You can see this in a large oven with the remains of those vessels which were actually used for cooking. And this one, what you see in here is actually that one of those bowls. That's a blow up of that, which is actually found resting on a bed of terracotta cakes. And what one can see is that the surrounding area is actually burned. What it essentially means is that whatever food item was kept here was actually kept warm by heating. And then the terracotta cakes must have been actually used as heat retainers. So that's an interesting evidence about how terracotta case was also used for as heat retainers in cooking purpose as well. Um, so these vessels, what you actually come across, these are certainly therefore an indication they were used for food consumption, and then when when people actually come, people actually access this marketplace. What happens is that they would also be kind of consuming some of the food, and then once that in such places, once it is use is over, it's actually kind of thrown away. That is the reason, most probably, you do come across these vessels in abundance. See, high abundance of these bowls suggests limited and single use. These are the cool heads and paper cup waste which get accumulated today when you use them and then throw them. You can actually see in a tea shop, or wherever the tea is actually served in cool head or in paper cups, by the side there's a trash box. They actually throw them. Most probably, a similar kind of situation did actually prevail during at Shikarpur, where the stuffs which were actually after consumption, those bowls which were actually indifferently made were actually kind of dumped into the trash. That's the reason you do actually come across a high abundance of these shirts in and around that open space. That's a kind of presumption based on its context of occurrence. So does this suggest the tradition of use and throw has its roots going back to the Harappans? This is a question one can actually ask. It can actually be discussed, and you can actually agree or disagree. You do actually come across similar evidence of high abundance of conical cups or use and throw kind of vessels in the 5th and 6th century AD sites. That's a Gupta, post-Gupta period. Any of the sites, if you actually check, I have actually shown it here. These are the kind of conical vessels you actually come across. They come across in large numbers, suggesting that the tradition of use and throw did actually existed, in the historic period as well as we see it in today. Today, it is not actually concerned. The reason behind which we actually throw it away today, the paper cup, etc., it is consumerism. It is not because of one wanted to actually preserve or conserve, or it is not necessarily related to what is known as food pollution. Probably in the ancient times, this has something to do with the concept of food pollution by contact or association. See, there are different food consumption taboos exist in India till very recently. I suppose we do not actually kind of eat certain food. We do not actually eat with certain people. There are the concept of pollution is a significant aspect of Indian society, and as well as in sociology. You have dharma shastras which are actually describe how would we get actually polluted, what are the methods by which we can actually rectify the pollution because of you happen to be actually kind of partaking food with somebody. So it essentially means that in ancient times, this use and throw kind of vessel, use and throw kind of vessel, most probably must have been linked with the concept of pollution rather than the concept of conservation of resources, conservation of environment, not resources. What this study therefore suggests is that this insignificant looking vessel can help us to assess some of the intangible aspect of the Harappan society. So these vessels, in fact, are, as you can actually see, are very, very insignificant. I am pretty sure that not many people must have actually kind of noticed in the excavation. They come across small sherds, and as I said, we noticed it only because they are finding it large numbers, and then we just want to know why are they appearing in large numbers, and that is what led to let this study help to understand what could be the possible reason behind it, meaning behind it. Thanks very much for your patience at the end of the story.